Looks like we're live. How's everyone going? Welcome to another Properties and Beers. Now, if you're here, come in, say hi. Love to have a chat to see what you guys are up to today. Now, I'm just going to get the tech set up. I am still on the cruise, and I'll explain to you guys why and what's going on. So yes, it's Goro here. I'm still on this cruise. You're like, Goro, hey, this is the third Properties and Beers on the cruise. What is going on? Crazy, right? Now, we were meant to dock in Tokyo days ago, but thanks to a typhoon, the ship's been circling out at sea for the last 2 days. So we've got 2 extra bonus days. Now, normally, that kind of stuff would stress people out. But honestly, this is the perfect metaphor for property right now. The world's a bit stormy. You can't control the weather, but you can control how you choose to steer your ship and who's there as the captain for your ship, really working with you to get to the right place. So for those new here, welcome to Properties and Beers. I'm Gaurav Gupta, CEO and founder of Ethical Property Investments. We help everyday Aussies, just like you and me, invest in high cash flow ethical properties that do good and make money. So tonight, even from the middle of the ocean, right, I want to talk to you about something that can give you more control about when the market feels uncertain, and that's co-living. Because let's be real, a lot of investors are saying exactly the same thing. The numbers just don't add up anymore on standard residential property. Interest rates have squeezed margins, and the question everyone's asking is, how do you make your money go longer? How do you make your property cash flow again without waiting for that next boom, right? That next boom cycle? Because we've had a lot of booms, and different areas in Australia have had different booms in different levels. But we're seeing the disjointing of different booms in different areas, which is really unique in the market. And so what we're unpacking tonight, why co-living delivers stronger, steadier returns, and who's actually renting these homes, and how to tell a great deal from a risky one. But before we dive in, hey, this is Properties and Beers. So here's what I'm having on the ship tonight. This is Long Island iced tea, a proper, legit Long Island iced tea. Last week, I had some people going, your Long Island tea looks too blue, right? I had a Blue Island iced tea. This is a Long Island, so let's get it on. Delicious. That hits the spot. Nowhere near as sweet as the Blue Long Island. It's a real Long Island iced tea, right? Lots of lime, very little sugar syrup, actually how it should be tasting. So well done to the bartender who is from Bali, right? So let's talk about co-living, which is the cash flow edge. Let's start with the big one, right? Cash flow. A lot of people think the market's broken, but you know what? Maybe the problem isn't the market, it's the model. Now, if you could take one property and make it perform like 2 or 3 without actually buying more, it makes common sense. You'd look into it, right? And that, my friends, is the essence of co-living. Now, not all co-living is built right. If you're only renting out 3 rooms as a co-living, it may or may not be greater than the standard residential property. You need to have that sense of, 5+ rooms. I think 5 is a good mix of both, personally, in my opinion. So instead of relying on one tenant paying rent, you actually create multiple streams of income from one house, right? Often, 3 to even 9 rents under one roof. And the good news with that is that, people said, Goro, it's actually safer to invest this way because you're not reliant. And so let's say you've had one tenant that doesn't pay the rent. You don't really get that in co-living. And if you get that in co-living, hey, guess what? You're still getting 4, 5, 6 other rooms that are still leased out, and you're getting the full whack of rent on them. So you're actually exposing yourself to less risk with that model, right? So people say, hey, co-living's higher risk. I think it's lower risk than anything else. Now, I used to think higher yield always means higher risk until I saw how co-living spreads its risk across these tenants. And when one moves out, you still have the others paying, and it's consistent, predictable, and it just works, especially in this thing that we've got called the housing crisis, right? And here's an example. One of the clients, a nurse regionally, the thought of investing was out of reach, but we helped to convert a standard house into like a co-living type setup. It was, instead of buying a regular house, she bought a house with a different layout. Now she's positive cash flow every week. And for her, it's not theory, it's freedom. Most investors think growth means buying more, but smart investors actually grow by earning more from what they already own, right? And so that's the thing with co-living. It doesn't just make the numbers better, it makes life better, right? It gives you options, breathing room, and the confidence to plan long term. Now, by the way, if you're watching, drop me a line. I know I can see there's a few people watching on live. I can see it over there, but drop me a line. Let us know if you're watching, where you're watching from, and what you want to chat about today in properties and beers, because another sip of Long Island's coming. It is delicious today. And yes, I'm drinking out of a straw because that's how Long Island should be drunk, right? So let's chat about demand, because the other question I get asked is, Goro, what about the demand in co-living? Let's talk about what actually makes this work. And that, my friends, is demand. By the way, if you hear some noise in the background, I think they're going through a random run of bingo, right? In the background. So apologies about the extra noise in the background if you're hearing it. Now, let's talk about what actually makes co-living work, which is demand, right? When people hear co-living, they picture students or backpackers. You know, that's not who's renting these homes these days. Behind every co-living home, there's real people who can't find decent, affordable rentals. And that, my friends, is the demand investors are starting to notice. It's loud over there, right? Well, when they're done, I'm going to repeat that last line because it's so important. Come on, guys. This is what happens when you're in a live situation. Now, behind every co-living home are real people who can't find decent, affordable rentals. And that, my friends, is the demand investors are really starting to notice. We're seeing nurses, hospitality staff, early career professionals, people priced out of traditional rentals, but still looking for quality, privacy, and hey, it's kind of like instant friends, right? I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I kind of lived in an unofficial co-living home. We shared a terrace. Raj, if you're watching, Greg, we had a fantastic time sharing a terrace in Potts Point, and that kind of setup is what we're really building now, but with a little bit more, stability in there, where the house is purpose built for that. We're not forced to share bathrooms, because that part of sharing a house kind of sucked, right? So these houses, they're stable, reasonable, and grateful. And a lot of people are grateful to find something that works. The biggest story is that the rental crisis we've got is actually widening. Affordability is broken. People aren't just chasing cheap rent anymore. They're actually chasing flexibility, community, and in some cases, dignity. And I believe personally that co-living ticks all three. And so when you understand who's driving the demand, co-living really stops feeling risky and starts just feeling obvious. So while everyone's waiting for the market to cool or rates to fall, a lot of the smarter investors are quietly filling a real gap and getting paid for solving it. Now, here's the challenge, right? There is some finance challenges that happen, and we're still facing the finance challenges, right? Every day. But we're coming up with solutions to fix some of these finance challenges that generally exist in the co-living market. By the way, we've got a property of the week. I might put it up here. It's a really solid co-living property on like 450 square meters. And it's under that 850K mark, which is below the median price of property in Melbourne, right? Now, and here's also, while I'm here, by the way, I'm going to have a sip. We do have an upcoming event. It's a co-living deal or no deal, right? Is it a deal or is it no deal? What is it, right? And we're going to talk about some no deal areas as well as, pro deals. Now, if it all sounds interesting, here's the next step. On October 28th, right? So later on this month, in 19 days, right? We're running a free live session called Co-Living Deal or No Deal. So you've probably heard of people rave about co-living, but how do you tell if a deal really stacks up or not? And that's what we're going to be breaking down. We're going to be giving you some real examples, real numbers, the good, the bad, and even the borderline, right? Because co-living looks great on paper, but not every project performs, and that's really important to know. So we'll walk you through exactly what separates a great deal from one that, sounds good, but won't really deliver. There's a lot of co-living packages, even I get sent on a daily basis, that I know this co-living project just won't deliver. And so we're going to sort out the wheat from the chaff and tell you if it's a deal or no deal, right? And because of the game show vibe, we're keeping it fun. We're even going to have a grand prize for one lucky attendee and their family, right? We're even going to do the whole game show thing. I know it's cheesy, but you know what? It's important to have fun in life. So don't miss it. The registration link's in the comments below. Feel free to join. It's going to give you clarity that you probably won't get anywhere else. Now, as we wrap up, here's what I want to leave you with. Being stuck at sea for a few extra days because of a typhoon, it reminded me of something. You can't control the weather, but you can control your vessel. Markets move, rates rise happen, storms happen. But if your strategy has a strong foundation, you can ride it out with relative ease. And that, my friends, is what I believe a solid strategy and solid advice will give you. Stability when the world's uncertain. If you've been tuning in but haven't followed our page yet, make sure you do. We really post practical content every single week to make you invest smarter, not just louder. So hit follow on Ethical Property Investments on Facebook and Instagram. And don't miss our upcoming Co-Living Deal or No Deal event on October 28th. I'm going to post a link in the chat. Until next time, take care, stay curious, and remember, doing good and making money can go hand in hand. From out here at sea, this is Goro signing off with a longer iced tea and a bit of perspective. Cheers.